All right, guys. So this is fun. Now, I had to be selective in which parts I used here because we honestly could have sat here and reacted to the entire Mehdi Hasan and Destiny versus Dave Smith and Sarah Palin and Piers Morgan debate. So we're just going to go through a little of it here, but this was fun, right? And Destiny even tweeted that normally the takes of like Mehdi Hasan and Cenk Uygur drive him crazy, but man, he finds it very entertaining to be on the same side of them, with them in a debate. And yeah, I mean, I understand that, right? That's something. It's nice when there's some semblance of unity as you get closer and closer to an election. But here they're gonna. This gets out of hand. This goes off the fucking rails, but it's very entertaining. So they're gonna debate a number of issues here. Let's watch.
Let's talk about Trump. He tried to overturn an election. He's not been tried for it. Do you think it's right, Piers, as someone who objected to the insurrection, that he's going into election in 8 days? You asked Destiny, why is he still doing so well? Because he was never tried. You want to talk about the DOJ? I think the DOJ is an embarrassment. I wish they'd gone after him. They didn't go after him because he's going into an election having not seen the inside of a courtroom. For Georgia, for DC, we heard him commit a crime on tape, Piers. You heard him. You heard him say to Brad Raffensperger, find me the vote. If you'd done that, I'd done that, we'd be in prison right now. We wouldn't be running for re-election. That is the reality. The American people never got to hear in court all of the charges against him. You saw the Jack Smith indictment.
Just so I'm clear on this here,
Yeah.
and forget how you, Trump's guilty of all these crimes, whatever. When you're asking why is he getting so much support, your honest theory is that if he had just been prosecuted more?
I think the point is, if he was already in jail, if the timeline was quicker and they charged him with the crimes and he was already found guilty and he was already behind bars for his 91 crimes, then I don't think he would have won the primary. I don't. Before he even announced, if you were able to go through the judicial process and he was found guilty by a jury of his peers, I don't think from behind bars they would. We'll go with the guy who literally is locked up. Like I don't think that's going to happen. But of course, as what Mehdi's saying is, the timeline was late, it was slow, and as a direct result of that, the only one we got an answer to was the business fraud hush money case in New York where he was found guilty, right? But we didn't get an answer on the classified document stuff, and Aileen Cannon is a MAGA judge who threw out a lot of that stuff. We didn't get an answer on the Jack Smith indictment, and the Supreme Court, of course, stepped in and said, he has immunity for any official acts, and by the way, pretty much everything is an official act. So we didn't get any answer on those things, and as a result of that, the political persecution, really it's just a prosecution because he committed crimes, it did help him with his base, right? It did, but if he was already behind bars before he even had a chance to announce, because we had a justice system that was functioning in a speedy fashion, then it would be a different story. It probably would be DeSantis. It probably would be Donald Trump Jr. It probably would have been Nikki Haley, somebody else, right? It would not have been Trump.
It's not monocausal. There's many reasons he's doing well.
Okay, but one of the causes.
Democrats have run a bad campaign. Gaza is a factor, etc., etc.
Sure. Lots of factors.
The media doesn't know how to cover this stuff. But yes, clearly...
You think it would have hurt him with his supporters had he
not
been
with his
tried
supporters,
for
but we know
insurrection,
nothing
inciting an
with his
insurrection?
supporters. I've given up on his supporters. We're talking about the people who actually are persuadable. Yes. When was he most unpopular, Dave, in his entire life? On January 7th, 2021. So America is a country of amnesiacs. I can say that as an American and an immigrant.
But Mehdi,
people just go memory hole everything Trump did.
Mehdi, for a whole year, they've gone after him legally, and right now Trump is more popular.
And every time it's made him more popular.
Right, but Trump is more popular in his personal approval rating right now than he's ever been in his entire 8-year political career. How can that be happening if it isn't actually a lot of Americans going, this is absurd?
Because there's a giant, hyper-partisan media apparatus that defends every little fucking move Trump makes, no matter how absurd and obscene and depraved and wrong and illegal and disgusting. You have a whole group of sycophants who can't wait to go out there and coddle their dear leader's nutsack. So yes, we have a bitterly divided, hyper-partisan country, and you have Fox News and One American News Network and Newsmax and countless online right-wing outlets that defend every move he makes. So that basically manufactures consent where he has his 45%, 47% locked in. That's how we've gotten to that point, right? If the media was unanimous in saying, okay, this thing crossed the line, that thing crossed the line, yes, that he committed a crime there, we're not just going to go to the mat defending him and licking his taint every day, then it'd be a different story. Then it would be a different story.
All the polls show that he's actually, the American people think he should have been prosecuted.
Okay, sir.
And that's true for Mehdi. It is true. People, okay, to be fair, people do have like massively contradictory views on a lot of different things. Immigration is one of them. They're like, yes, we like mass deportation. Yes, we like a pathway to citizenship. So it's kind of contradictory. But all the polls we've seen, even though Trump is getting 47% or whatever it is in the election, also, there are polls that show like 55% or whatever it is think he should be behind bars, right?
Supporters recognize that it is not Donald J. Trump, a person who is to be supported. It's what he represents.
Oh my God. What does he represent, Sarah Palin? I'll wait. I'm sure. Oh, it's a very coherent ideological project. The ideological project is make him an authoritarian dictator. That's the project. And that's what a lot of these Republicans want. Got to call a spade a spade.
Train that has been so aggressively moving forward with great intention for this country. We recognize it's what is represented on that. It's all about freedom. It's all about not allowing our country to be fundamentally transformed, as Barack Obama had promised he and his ilk that they would do to America. He said that back in 2008. We recognizing we don't need a fundamental transformation of America. We need a restoration of all that's good about America.
What is the freedom that Donald Trump represents?
The same political party that just voted against the Right to IVF Act. I believe it was 48 of them voted against the Right to IVF Act. How's that freedom? 36 Republican senators voted against gay marriage in the Senate, 169 in the House. What are we talking about here? How's that freedom? The same party that wants to perpetuate the drug war and lock people up for smoking weed. How's that freedom? What freedom are you talking about?
And that is what Trump.
Well, that's an interesting question.
Is it the freedom to not have an abortion, to have a police officer looking over you when you go to get tested for pregnancy? Is it the freedom to have a president that lives above criminal prosecution? Is it the freedom to have tariffs related to every single product that we might import into the country? What is the freedom?
We'll take one freedom that he is quite adamant about, because the majority of Americans are adamant about, and that's our Second Amendment rights.
I'm sorry. How much anti-gun legislation or executive action did Biden do? And then compare that to Trump. Biden did nothing. Trump banned bump stocks, so that's an auto loss for you.
All right, to be fair, yes, Trump did ban bump stocks. Is one of the better things he did, to be honest. But Biden did do, I think it was bipartisan gun legislation. They may have gotten a couple Republican votes for it. And I forget the exact provisions. I know one of them was funding for red flag laws at the state level. I know they did this thing where they closed what's called the boyfriend loophole, which is like if you have a domestic abuser, partner, you can legally they're not allowed to have guns anymore. So there were certain parts. It wasn't even universal background checks or anything like that. It wasn't a ban on high capacity magazines, but it was some movement, I would say, in the right direction when it comes to guns. I certainly wouldn't say it infringes on the Second Amendment at all.
Well, let's talk about Kamala and her position.
Okay.
Are you saying Kamala or are you saying Kamala?
I say Kamala because I don't see any point in deliberately mispronouncing a name.
Like Trump does every single time he speaks.
Well, I don't want to
Hussein Obama. Like
Hussein, yeah.
And they call him the new Hitler. So all's fair in love and war.
Excuse me, but also, didn't Trump try to accuse
before,
Obama of not being born in the United States? Wasn't that his entrance into politics? Again, it's not just what he says, it's what he does. Just asking questions. And even when Arpaio came out with the birth certificate, they said, no apology for that.
Okay, so you asked about the freedoms
when you're called a Nazi,
they've called Obama a communist for 8 years. Oh my goodness.
But if you this one point, it's all you have. It's really sad.
It's quite a big point because you're
comparing. It's not because Trump calls Harris a fascist.
Didn't Trump say immigrants were the poisonous in the blood of the nation or whatever?
You're comparing Trump to the most evil person in modern history, who murdered 12 million people, who perpetrated the Holocaust of 6 million.
Hitler. The only person I know who's called Trump Hitler is his running mate, J.D. Vance.
And his last general called him a fascist.
Oh yeah, his last general, by the way, his top general said he's a fascist.
These are the people that have worked the closest to him.
His chief of staff says he praised Hitler. Should we go down the list?
Well, they didn't praise Hitler.
Do you know more about Trump? I know you're friends with him.
He said he would like to have had the loyalty of Hitler's generals.
That's not true. He said that's not true, Piers. Let's be some facts. He said,
quote, he said, that or not.
Hitler did some good things, is what he said.
He denies saying that.
Oh, Trump denies it.
How do you know he did?
Piers, you trust Donald Trump over General John Kelly. Just say that to the world. I want you to say it.
Possibly on that,
Not possibly, do you? Yes
it's been denied by other people who were in the room.
Lies in every breath.
Other people. I don't dispute that he has a problem with the truth. but I would say that other people who were in the room at the time say he never said it.
So let's just be clear. All of the top generals and military people who worked with him: Mark Milley, John Kelly, Jim Mattis, H.R. McMaster.
They're all fired,
Mark
right?
Esper. None of them were fired, actually. No, McMaster quit. Mattis quit. Kelly quit. So you're wrong again, Piers. Piers, facts matter, Piers. I know you're pushing.
When you say quit, what do you mean? They
literally walked away.
Or they were forced away.
No. Let me finish because you're getting this all wrong. I know you get your talking points from Fox these days. Well, you did. You just said something that Fox says. John Kelly walked away.
I sit in my liberal chair when I do the fight.
John Kelly walked away and Trump praised him on the way out. Mattis walked away. Trump praised him on the way out. The only time Trump started criticising them is when they pointed out stuff that he had said to them. So all these generals are lying, and Donald Trump, a man who has problems with the truth, to use your phrase, is telling the truth. Come on, Piers, it's embarrassing.
Well, but how do you, listen, I tend to agree with you. I don't know. I don't trust Donald Trump for sure. But even, like, I know a little bit about your politics, but am I really supposed to just, these generals are all beyond lying? I mean, Mattis, as you know, right? Mattis resigned because Trump actually tried to pull out of Syria, which he had campaigned on.
But he didn't criticize Trump.
No, by the way,
I agree with you.
No, he did.
No, he said he doesn't respect the Constitution. They all consistently
No,
say
I'm not saying, okay, fine. But, like, what does that even mean to them? They don't respect the Constitution. We were in Syria unconstitutionally. We were there without a declaration of war.
The game is always comparing both sides.
No,
trying to pretend that they're the same. There's not even a rule in the game that declared war since World War II.
Yes, I know. That's my point. The thing is, you're just projecting that I'm playing that game. I'm talking to him about something else. I'm not playing your dumb game.
I'm agreeing with you on the foreign policy. I'm agreeing with you. What I'm saying is,
pretend to laugh all you want.
Do you believe all the generals are just attacking? Forget the generals. Go through everyone. His press secretary, his vice president. We can go through the list. NBC went to 44 cabinet officials and said, "Are you voting for Trump?"
Yes, okay.
4.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. I believe that, and I do not trust Donald Trump. I think he's not an honest person. He's a self-promoter who will say whatever makes him look good. I believe that when Donald Trump said all of this rhetoric about drain the swamp in 2016, when he said we're not going to fight these wars anymore, when he, maybe somewhat unwittingly, called out Obama and John Brennan for the literal treason that they committed in Syria, with a capital T, arming and funding the enemy in wartime, okay? When he said Obama created ISIS, things like that, I think he made a lot of enemies in Washington, D.C. And the idea that you could get 5 or 10 of them to come together and all say something bad about him, I'm not,
dozens.
Okay, fine, dozens. I don't believe them either.
Okay, Dave, you're a smart guy. Let me just put it to you, just very simply. If I'm Mike Pence, am I not voting for Donald Trump because my family almost got killed or because Trump was in Syria? I'm going to take the simple answer that he's not supporting Trump because he saw that Trump did on January 6th. Well, that's my point. You can go down the list. I can be here all day telling you about former Trump officials who have turned on him. They can't all be lying.
Yeah, they can. I mean, they can. By definition, they could.
Wow. So that really sums it up. And look, I like Dave Smith a lot. Him and I have had debates in the past. I'm sure we'll have debates again. I view him as an honest actor. He's a true libertarian. And his retort here, I feel like, is the most common retort. When you bring up, hey, Mattis and Milley and Kelly and McMaster and Mike Pence and all these people, like, they've all criticized Trump in pretty strong terms. 3 top administration officials have said he's a fascist to the core. Kelly's come out with stories. Others have come out with stories about him. I wish my generals were more like Hitler's generals, etc. Hitler did some good things. He wanted to invoke the Insurrection Act and deploy the U.S. military against our own citizens. And he asked, why can't we just shoot these George Floyd protesters in the leg? So what Dave Smith is saying here is the reason why all these people are against him, I'll sum up his point, is they're the deep state, they're neocons, and they're just against the fact that Trump wanted to end all these wars. And so he's their enemy. That's the point he's making. Dave, the problem with that is it's not actually why they're sounding the alarm. It's not. If you listen to them, if you listen to what they say, the concern is his authoritarianism, his fascism, the idea that he doesn't believe in checks and balances, the idea that he doesn't believe in the American system. He wants to be an emperor. He wants to be an overlord. He wants to rule with an iron fist. He often praises President Xi for ruling with an iron fist. That's not what the fight is about. The fight is not about, hey, he's anti-war and they're pro-war. The fight is about they view him as un-American and wanting to overthrow the Constitution, overturn the Constitution as Trump says he wants to do. And that's the heart of it, right? Is that Trump wants to do those things and they don't want him to do those things. For all of their flaws, they don't want a dictator, right? And so to further prove the point, and you guys have heard me make these arguments a million times, and I'm sure that Dave Smith knows a lot of these arguments, but it's just factually inaccurate to say that Trump is anti-war. He used anti-war rhetoric on the campaign trail in 2016, but he was lying. He didn't mean it. He didn't do anti-war stuff. He increased drone strikes over 400%. He did over 2,000 drone strikes in just his first 2 years as president, which was more than what Obama did in his 8 years in office, and we all criticize Obama for his drone strikes. He kept us in Iraq, he kept us in Afghanistan, he bombed Somalia, he bombed Syria twice. He literally said we're occupying a third of Syria to, quote, take the oil. He let Israel illegally annex the Golan Heights. He assassinated the top Iranian commander, General Soleimani, who was on the ground fighting ISIS, right? So he brings up, hey, Obama helped fund and arm jihadists, and that's treason with a capital T. Okay, well then is it treason with a capital T when Trump illegally kills Qasem Soleimani and he was on the ground fighting ISIS, wouldn't that also be treason by your own logic? He tried to coup Venezuela. He ripped up the Iran agreement. The list goes on and on. The idea, he says he wants to do war with Mexico in his second term, declare the drug cartels terrorist outlets, and do airstrikes on them. He's not anti-war. He's not. So it's not like, oh, Trump is fighting the deep state and the neocons, and that's why they turned on him. No, it's this guy is an authoritarian menace. He's making it very obvious. And this group of people goes, I'm sorry, he can't have power. He wants absolute authority. That's really the debate. And Mehdi's trying to get that point through to Dave Smith, and some of it's landing, some of it's not.
Trump's telling the truth.
It's not
it sounds
a law.
insane.
It's not. Well, no, I don't. It's not a law of logic that they couldn't all be lying. Yes, you could get a bunch of people in D.C. together to lie.
Yeah, okay. Dave, could they all be lying? Yes, of course they could. Anything is possible. But when you have this colossal number of people all saying the same thing, and they're not saying what you are implying, they're saying that, oh, he's anti-war, and that's why we're against him. They're saying he's an authoritarian. He's a fascist. That's why we're against him. I mean, it fits. It fits with the profile of the man we know and things he said publicly and things he's done.
How do you think we got in Iraq, right? You got a lot of people in D.C. together to lie.
Let me just say,
this is what reality
hang
to
on.
support Donald Trump is that every single person is lying, but not Trump. This is the time to
No, but
this is
but
the game that's played.
here's my
That's
point.
exactly what
Hang on, but Destiny, what you...
Hang on. I'm just curious, one question. Is there one other person with this track record of people around him that say he's a bad guy that you would support? Can you think of a single person with even half as many people that have worked closely with him? All of his personal people before lunches, people like Michael Cohen, people like... How many people in his campaign were aggressive and then he pardoned immediately? People like Manafort, people like Bannon. Like any one other person. Just one person.
Destiny.
One person.
I'm going to say one thing to you, which is, notwithstanding all your blind fury, you two, about
It's
all
not
this.
blind. It's very... We're seeing clearly.
I would say, though, what's fascinating to me is the moment I try and turn it back and say, yeah, but hang on, what about the rhetoric from your side?
But what about both sides, good sir? Have you considered both sides? Have you considered a massive false equivalence? Here, have your false equivalence dish. Oh, yes, false equivalence. Please, Piers, this is so tired.
Hitler, the Nazis, the Madison Square Garden is 19...
Hitler. We've done this before in July.
Literally, Hillary Clinton just said this was 1939 all over again. The rally. A Nazi-style rally. She is calling Trump supporters Nazis. So you do think he's the new Hitler?
Hold on. A Nazi-style rally does not mean you're the new Hitler.
What does it mean?
By the way,
what does it mean?
Hold on, you do this every time. Trump called
The
Biden.
Nazis were his party.
Is Joe Biden the Gestapo?
Huh?
Is Joe Biden the Gestapo?
What's that got to do with it?
I'm asking the question. Is Joe Biden the
No,
Gestapo?
I'm asking you. If it's a Nazi rally, why is he not the new Hitler?
Piers, is Joe Biden the Gestapo?
Who's running these new Nazis?
Is Joe Biden the Gestapo?
What's it got to do with it?
I'm asking you a question. Do you think Joe Biden is the Gestapo?
I'm asking the questions.
Do you
my
think,
debate.
Well, okay. Well, then let me just point out to you.
Answer my question first.
I will. Joe Biden was called the Gestapo by Trump. I've never heard you criticize Trump for calling Biden Nazi.
He's right. You know, this is like the nuanced trolling and concerned trolling and like the rhetoric from the Democrats against Trump is really over the top. Isn't it good, sir? And then like the night before Trump will be giving a speech, he'll call Joe Biden the Gestapo. He'll call Kamala a communist and a fascist. Right-wing idiots on Twitter call Tim Walz a Maoist. Like, he does this whole like, oh, the rhetoric is equal on both sides. And it's like, it's not remotely close. Can anybody sit there with a straight face and say that Democratic rhetoric is more incendiary than Trump and Republican rhetoric? The other day at the MSG rally, one of the speakers said all Democrats are lowlives. All Democrats are degenerates and Jew haters. And it barely was a blip in the rain. People barely fucking noticed because that's just another day that ends in Y.
I thought we weren't supposed to do whataboutism.
Exactly.
I'm completely
Exactly.
By the way, I think it's a legitimate point you're making.
By the way, he wasn't in the Gestapo. It's offensive. It's wrong.
Okay.
So is it equally offensive? But you think it actually genuinely was a Nazi rally?
Do you see the difference between saying that people say
that it was a Nazi-style
in terms of the rhetoric that I said?
So
do you think Kamala's antichrist? Do you think Kamala Harris is the antichrist? You can't just ignore the facts.
Let Sarah speak.
Yes, please. Jeez, I feel like I should be your mother and just shut you guys up.
Poor Sarah Palin. She did not know what she was getting herself into. Everybody else on the panel, Dave Smith, Destiny, Mehdi, they know what they signed up for. They know this is like internet blood sport type stuff. Poor Sarah Palin thought she was going to just have like a nice, cheery, casual conversation with Piers Morgan probably, and she ran into these guys. She is not prepared. She's an ancient relic, and she's out there like, gosh golly, I'd like to disagree. I like Donald Trump, and you guys are mean and hyperbolic about Donald Trump.
I'm not your mother. You're grown men, and I have respect for your ages, if nothing else. But listen, You did just say that it was a Nazi-type rally, meaning Nazi-style rally.
Yeah,
meaning
people get up and say outrageously.
So who's the leader of this group?
Meaning participants are Nazi-style participants?
I'm saying people are cheering on far-right rhetoric. Do you know what the Great Replacement Theory is?
The far right.
Do you know what the Great Replacement Theory is?
Mehdi,
I trade in facts.
What about all the Jews in the audience that I saw?
Answer.
What about the Israel?
Oh my God. Bro, they can't be fascists. They can't be Nazis. There were Jews in the audience, bro. Oh my God. Bro, look, there's Israeli flags. They're flying the flag of an ethno-state. They can't be bigots, bro. Unbelievable.
Flags I saw.
Israel flag means what?
Well,
does
they
it
may
mean?
not be thinking he's genuine.
Do you know some of the most far-right politicians in Europe support Israel right now, including card-carrying anti-Semites across
Why
Europe?
would Jewish people go and watch the new Hitler and cheer him up?
Why did a Jewish speaker make lots of anti-immigrant racist remarks? I mean, this is ridiculous. Muslims and Jews. A Muslim guy endorsed Trump on Friday. Does that mean Trump is pro-Muslim? Come on, Piers, you're better than this.
No, I tell you what, you're better than this, because when you say it was a Nazi rally,
I didn't say
you
it was a
have
Nazi
to.
rally.
You did.
I didn't actually. I said it was a Nazi-style rally.
When you say the Nazi-style rally, you're calling Trump Hitler. You are.
God. Let me repeat myself. I'm repeating myself. I'm saying that I listened to a rally at which people said things that Nazis said. Do you deny that Joseph Goebbels talked about enemy of the people? That enemy within is a Hitler
So
line?
anyone who uses the phrase enemy of the people is a Nazi.
Not anyone. When Trump consistently uses Trump language, Hitler language, when he says poisoning the blood of the immigrants, was that coincidence as well? Even after he was told that's only from Mein Kampf and he said it again. Was that a coincidence?
It was a Nazi rally to you.
Was that a coincidence?
Was it a Nazi rally?
No, it was a Nazi-style rally. People said absolutely neo-Nazi
So these
things.
people are capable of
you just want to
perpetrating
get
a
a gotcha
Holocaust.
line, and I want you to do with facts. Is a Great Replacement theory Nazi theory or not? No. Sorry, facts matter.
What
You
you're
can't just say...
It's just funny to me because Mehdi is totally acting like Destiny would in his streams. He's like making the argument, and then when they try to deflect, he's like, no, get back to the point. No. The no is very Destiny type thing.
I'm going to ask you about headline
You're
pictures.
missing my overall point, which is this.
It's not my fault that you don't
point is that
understand what
you
happened
two are
yesterday.
very exercised about the...
I'm excited about the fact that you don't
Hang
give
on,
them facts, Piers.
Mehdi,
The Great
Mehdi,
Replacement
let me get a
theory.
word in.
No, Great Replacement theory.
Mehdi, let me get a word in. Nope.
It's a neo-Nazi theory. Until you address that, I can't
Look, Destiny's laughing because he knows Mehdi is acting like him right now.
continue this conversation.
Let me come to Sarah for... I want to move to a different thing, because you're not going to address the fact you think
You
they're
don't know
Nazis.
what the Great Replacement
You think
theory
they're a
is.
bunch of Nazis, but
Can I
don't
just
really want to
say,
say
as
they're
an
a bunch
American
of
that watches both your shows, I love watching you guys do this to each other, because watching you guys do it to other people is infuriating. When you guys put each other is very funny.
I enjoy it too.
It is true, though. You don't deal in fact when you talk about Trump, though. I agree with him.
No, I don't. I'm very...
What's the Great Replacement theory? Why didn't you tell
Like you guys did
Why
talk
did you
about
tell
Trump
me?
being a
Hang
friend of
on.
Hitler.
I
Trump
know the
literally
Great
says,
Replacement
I want to
theory.
suspend the Constitution.
I don't
for voter
agree-
fraud.
I don't
Trump
agree
literally
with the
says
Great
that the
Replacement
media is the enemy
theory.
of the people.
So why
Like,
was
these
it?
are-
Why was it echoed by Tucker Carlson and Don Jr. yesterday at the
But
rally?
I don't agree with it. What do you want me to say?
So you're he said replace. Yes, Don Jr. was speaking. He said replace the immigrants coming to replace us.
Trump was on a
Which- which-
softball question by Sean Hannity, and he said he'd be a dictator on day
Well,
one.
let me ask you
Hannity
about...
was teeing him up for a softball
all right, but
question.
let me ask you about illegal immigration then, Destiny.
All right, we'll cut it off here. This goes on, but Jesus Christ. There was another back and forth between Mehdi Hasan and Sarah Palin, and Mehdi basically is like, you're a racist, and lists off like things she said and says it right to her face, and she gets like really offended, and it felt like she was going to walk off, but she didn't, and man, only peers. Look, the fact of the matter is, let's call it what it is. This show is built on like sensationalism and conflict, right? It just is. You're not really going to get highfalutin, like intelligent type debate here, but people love it and they eat it up. I eat it up. You eat it up. Everybody eats it up. And needless to say, I think Mehdi and Destiny did a very good job, and everybody else was on the defense. And yeah, I think, I really think Dave Smith should acknowledge that, like, yeah, the reason why all these people are against him from his administration is actually not because he's anti-war, they're pro-war. It's not it, because he's not even anti-war, right? Look at all the shit he's saying right now about Israel. He said Israel should attack Iran's nuclear facilities. He says Bibi should go further, right? So it's not about that. But anyway, that was just a little piece of it. Go watch the whole thing. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.